is no secret that this game has been a freaking roller coaster ride for me. Since Splatoon Raiders was announced, I was all over the place with anticipation, high and low with this game. You guys probably know this. I've made videos about it, tweets about it on Twitter, made a lot of you mad, made a lot of you happy. It's been all over the place. And if you want a quick little recap as to why, let me try to explain it to you. Ever since the first Splatoon released, I have always wanted a single player Splatoon experience because I thought the campaigns were a lot of fun, but they just lacked something more ambitious they could have done. So to be specific for what I was looking for a game that had those kettle challenges like we have in the first 3 single player experiences. I wanted challenges very similar to even the Octo expansion DLC, which was one of my favorite single player experiences, but the new hub worlds were more open areas this time around. Kind of like what we have now with Raiders, more open areas to explore in order to find these kettles. So I guess I was thinking something like an open 3D sandbox game. No, not 3D Mario, but something that kept the core features of Splatoon, but in open sandbox worlds where we could find tons of these kettle missions to complete and awesome bosses and Octoling style of enemies. So that's what I always thought something a single player Splatoon would do, and when they announced Splatoon Raiders for the first time, I was immediately stoked. This was the first game in a long time that I was 10 out of 10 excited for. I literally could not stop thinking about what they could possibly do with this game. That was until the second reveal, showing what Splatoon Raiders was actually going to be, and seeing Salmon Run again made me about drop to my knees and brought me down to a 2 out of 10 in excitement. I do not like Salmon Run. I've never been a big fan of Salmon Run since its debut in Splatoon 2. Returning in Splatoon 3, I couldn't care less. However, I have always thought something like Salmon Run had extreme potential. I could see it becoming a really cool mode if they did more with it. But as someone who's really not been a big fan of any type of horde rush game mode like this, like for instance, I never really cared about those modes when they popped up in Fortnite or even Call of Duty Zombies, but even Zombies I had more interest in because at least the areas were bigger and you got to progress with points unlocking newer and newer areas. But in Splatoon Raiders, you were stuck on this one little tiny island for an entire 3-round turn with a bunch of strangers who always felt like they didn't know what they were doing, and we lost every single time when it hit wave 3. I was just getting so frustrated where I couldn't dictate or control how the battle went. It was always up to the players that I had, and it always felt like I always lost on wave 3. I don't think I ever took down a King Salmonid because my teammates would always be dead. So when I saw that Nintendo was making an entire game dedicated to Salmon Run and also with elements of side order, which I also really wasn't a huge fan of, I really just didn't have any big expectations for this game. In fact, I even went to the store to play the demo and still nothing. All the tree houses, all the trailers, nothing really did it for me. I overall just couldn't care less. Even at the end of the Splatoon Raiders Direct, I felt nothing. But what's so incredibly funny about this is the exact same thing has happened to me with Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. I remember seeing trailers and gameplay and thinking it was the most childish, boring looking 2D platformer of all time. Even playing the demo in the store, I felt nothing. But when the game released, it became one of my favorite Switch 2 experiences. And I am happy to say, so did Splatoon Raiders. I just don't get it. On paper, this is a game that's primarily built upon the idea of Salmon Run and side order. Side order with these dungeons and dens that you go further down, defeating hordes of enemies in a small enclosed space, and of course Salmon Run just fighting hordes of Salmonid. It's the same thing really, but for some reason this is ultimately how I wanted Salmon Run to feel. There's no annoying teammates to worry about. I mean, you can play online with people if you want, it's an option, but I can literally go through this entire game by myself. And if I lose, it's completely my fault and no one else's. I don't have anybody else to point fingers at or to blame this time around. And I love that. There's different types of objectives and the maps are open. You're not stuck on this little tiny cramped island as Salmonid are swarming towards you in the center. You have like so many different variety of challenges. You have one where you're just going to the end of the level to find treasure. It's like a linear 3D platformer for the most part. Then there's some where you have kind of an open area, kind of like an open sandbox level where you have to go around finding crystals and mining them in any order that you want. You can spend as long as you want in this level just mining spiral Light. Then there's some stages where you have to go through dens, like in Pikmin 2, going down each floor, fighting crazy hordes of enemies that feels the most like side order. Now, admittedly, these aren't my favorites for sure. These are probably my least favorites of all of them, but they're still really fun here. And you even have tons of these bonus dens that put you through kettle-like challenges from Splatoons 1, 2, 3, and the Octo expansion. The missions that I actually missed that has you using your brain, using your gadgets in unique ways that you never even thought you could have. And there's a lot of these, dude. I mean, I'm only what I would feel like close to halfway through the game, and I've seen at least 10 to 15 of these things. It's awesome. Like I said though, the treasure missions are still 100% my favorites. I love going through a stage in a linear fashion, jumping through boost pads and stuff and getting to each new section full of salmonid. I just love progressing through a level. So those always were my favorites for sure, followed by those kettle missions with your gadgets. But the other ones with the spiralite mining and even the dens aren't bad at all. I'm actually actively enjoying jumping into every single mission. I'm playing on the hardest difficulty, and as I have died a couple of times, it's never felt too brutal whatsoever. And I'm sure it eventually will, but there's a couple of missions here and there that you'll come across that will just tear you apart. But dude, at first I was just kind of like, yep, this is definitely what I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to lie, the first hour and a half was just whatever. But man, as I kept playing, I felt myself subconsciously just itching to play this game more. Because in my head, I kind of tried to make my mind up saying this wasn't going to be that good. But my body kept saying, hey, pick up the Switch. You know what I mean? Like, you want to play more. And I just can't stop. Going back, playing past missions that allow you to play them with different tanks, or going back, playing harder versions of past missions in order to get more spiralite and treasures. It's just so addicting. And I feel like I still am not close to finishing this game, which is exciting as heck, man, because I heard the post game is just as fun. If anything, I'm more worried about something like Salmon Run returning in Splatoon 4. Maybe it's under a new name with new enemies instead of Salmonid, which I would really hope so, because I'm kind of tired of the Salmonid by now. But yeah, I don't know how this mode continues on, because what they're doing here is so expansive. I do not want to go back to normal Salmon Run whatsoever. I already didn't like it. I'm not going to like it after playing this game. The gadgets alone easily make this the most fun part. Each tank has like 5 or 6 unique gadgets, and each gadget can also be customized to be even more unique to how you play. And it's so cool, dude. Now, not all the gadgets are going to stick with you. For instance, with the speed tank, I thought that was going to be my favorite. It's probably my least favorite, at least in the beginning. I feel like it's going to get a lot better as I get more gadgets and upgrade them. But I mean, just having a boost forward with one of them, or a boost up in the air, or just a random drop kick just was not getting the job done for me. I feel like I spent most of my first 4 hours of this game using the power tank, because there's just so much good there. There's an axe that can slash through most enemy weak points and stuff, or shields. So yeah, I just used the power one and the tactical one the most so far. But I can see the speed one eventually getting up there. But as of right now, the only time I used the speed tank was when I went to the normal levels, not when I had enemies swarming me. Pretty much every single main weapon type is here from Splatoon 3, and I guess technically all the past games, and it's so great. They don't give you this long drawn-out explanation like you've never seen them before. They treat you like you've played Splatoon before. They can give you an explanation if you need to learn how to use it, if this is your first Splatoon experience, but I love how they don't force it upon you, like, okay, this is this is that. They just start chucking weapons at you, which is awesome. Load times are incredible. This is the fastest loading game I've ever seen in my life. There was a series of times where I kept dying on the same stage. It's so incredibly quick to go back to the base, get your gear, jump into a level. I mean, it'll load the level in no joke 2 to 3 seconds, maybe even faster in some cases. It's insane. I don't even have time to wonder about anything, you know what I mean, or pick up my phone and check something. Like, it throws you straight back in. You have no time to even get upset or to rage from dying, because you're so quickly back into the game. It's insane. Like, dude, and this is like every stage. If that's not like the fastest loading time I've ever seen from a Nintendo game, I don't know what is, because man, like, this is the little things that I really appreciate with a new console. Forget the graphics. If games do this more, we are in for a freaking treat with the future of gaming, because that's, I feel like, what all people want. Just less downtime and more time playing the game. There's a butt ton of extra stuff to do at home base as well, like from your character to your gadgets. You can have relic powers, tank upgrades, your bot buddy being upgraded if you play with them enough and create that that bond. Tons of different perks you can buy for your gadgets and for yourself, weapon scrapping and even weapon crafting. There's so much, man, but it doesn't feel overwhelming. It feels basic for what it's trying to do, which is good because you don't want stuff to feel too complicated when you're building kits. It's very much beginner friendly, but feels so complex and deep. But one complaint I do have is the outfits. Am I losing my mind? Because I feel like every outfit in this game is like a crop top shirt. Like, why is that my only option for my Inkling? Like, there's nothing else. I feel like it's all the same outfits. In fact, I think they are. It's like 3 different categories of outfit that you can have across the board, and they just have different colors and different designs, which I felt was a little lazy. Like, they couldn't come up with something better. The best outfits, of course, are tied to amiibo that you have to scan, but man, the outfits here, like every single outfit feels like a crop top shirt. I'm like, is this all we got? Like, what's going on? But yeah, some of them cover the belly. I don't want my belly showing. I don't need my belly showing. It just felt like there was no options. So if you want the cooler outfits, you're gonna have to go out and spend money on amiibo, which sucks because I really like these. It's a bummer. But this game also has boss battles, and I'm going to talk about the first 2 bosses of the game. If you don't want to see this, you can just click off the video because we're pretty much done here. But yeah, there's actual boss battles, full-fledged boss battles, and they're pretty neat. They're not handled the same exact way as the single-player campaigns, where you find a weak point and hit it 3 times and you're done. They are pretty big health bar enemies. I mean, you're talking about big guys that are going to take you about 15 to 20 minutes to fight each one. Maybe that's a little longer, more like 10 to 15 minutes, but it's a battle. Like, you're going to be in here fighting these guys for a while. They are definitely bullet sponges, which actually lengthens the time you fight these things by a large margin, and I actually appreciate it. The first boss wasn't anything special. It was mostly just walking around, firing at it as it was flying through the air, and then you'll have these sections where you have to take out a bunch of salmonid in order to fire a super drill with your buddy into them and knock them down. Nothing super unique or a puzzle that you have to do, but the second boss really kicked things into overdrive. Oh my gosh, was it a blast. This one was like fused with a giant train with wheels and everything. This one had a pretty unique mechanic where it would shoot these little train cars at you, and you had to fire at them in order to pause them and then fire them back at him as he's spinning around the stage in order to knock him out for a second to deal damage. But he had some really unique attacks where he would circle you, and then you had to fight hordes of salmonid in order to find that drill again. But dude, I was just so happy to see boss battles in some capacity because I was getting a little worried that we weren't going to have traditional bosses again, but they are definitely here, and these things are crazy, man. I can't wait to see how many more is here and like what else they do with the last ones, and especially the final boss, because I love this. This is a huge improvement from the first, couple of campaigns bosses that we used to get, because they felt like they were breezes. You could blow through them within like 2 minutes, so this was definitely a highlight so far. Gosh, this game is so good. If you couldn't tell, I really like Splatoon Raiders, and I was wrong. This game is amazing, man. Everything that I've played so far tells me that this is going to be one of the special ones for Switch 2 so far. I am having a blast, and I don't see myself slowing down anytime soon. Yeah, Splatoon Raiders is great, and this once again shows me to stop judging a book by its cover. Yeah, it's not the game that I was necessarily looking for, and I still hope eventually we do get one that's more focused on single-player exploration instead of the salmon run mechanics, but oh my gosh, what this game does, it does perfectly well. As someone who doesn't like Salmon Run, and as much as I love this game, I couldn't imagine how people who love Salmon Run are feeling with this game right now. Like, they're probably on cloud 40 million compared to my cloud 9 that I'm on right now. But yeah, Splatoon Raiders is one of those ones. It's one of those Yoshi the Mysterious books that I did not expect, and I ended up truly loving. So far, I mean, with this edition, this is making year 2 of Switch 2 so much better than year 1 for me, because one of the few only standouts was Donkey Kong Bonanza, but there's already been like 3 or 4 games in year 2 that's made me say, yeah, this is the stuff I'm talking about. But Splatoon Raiders is awesome. Go give it a shot if you haven't already. It's been sold out pretty much everywhere near where I live, so I think people are eating this thing up already, which is great. But definitely go play Splatoon Raiders. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your day. Jesus loves you. See ya.